Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ketodontist podcast. I know I've been off the radar for a little bit. I apologize for that. I really needed to take a break from things and focus on my family and focus on my business. I don't know about you, but the pandemic had affected us pretty greatly. And, for full transparency, life had been kind of hard for the last few years. With my team, my family, and just like me, personally, because I've always been kind of a type A, self-independent type of guy, and I have so much power, stripped from me, like close your office, close your business for 8 weeks, lay off your team type of thing. It's just like that affected me a lot more than I wanted to admit. Let's just put it that way. And so basically over this last 18 months, I just had to focus on getting my practice back on footing because that's how I pay the bills. I do this stuff and I do the online stuff because I love it and because I believe in spreading the message of healthy, whole foods, low carbs, well-formulated ketogenic diets and its anti-inflammatory benefits. I do all of this stuff because I love it. I don't pay the bills with it, though. I'm still a practicing dentist. That's how I make a living and I want to trade it that way. I actually I'm very thankful that I make my living physically treating people and helping people and on a live basis, because we can't all be instafluencers, you know what I mean? We still have to be able to treat people. And so I'm thankful that I get to do that. And what's nice about that is that means I don't have to pander. I don't have to try to build my cult. I see that a lot, especially in the carnivore crowd, where it seems like they're just trying to amass a cult. And some of them, I won't say who, but some of them is kind of scary, the tactics that they use and the woo science they spit. But luckily, because I make a zero, to go off of Greg Doucette's thing, I make no money selling stuff. I make money by helping patients. And so it gives me a freedom to speak my mind in a very, very truthful manner here. But anyways, yeah, it just took time for me to get the practice back on a solid footing. We had tons of turnover, and staffing has been horrendous throughout this whole country, it seems. But over the last 18 years, has been focusing on that, and it's gotten a heck of a lot better. I love the team that we have in place now. Holy moly, everybody's just awesome and rocking, and some of them still have, learning to do because I do so much specialized stuff like orthodontics and dental implants and digital dentistry and cosmetic makeovers and stuff. It's a lot more than just an airway and all that stuff. It's general dentistry, just fillings, dentures, crowns, root canals. That's enough to learn already, and then you basically triple that with the amount of stuff that we do at my office. But now that that's gotten back on a solid footing, I feel better about that. And also, for those of you who don't know and don't follow me on social media, but Violet, our youngest, who will be turning 1 soon, she had a rough go the first year of her life, and she had a lot of health issues, and so she's been hospitalized multiple times, and that's been rough as well, as having to provide for my family, work for be the only doctor at the office, managing over 1,500 patients. And, also having to help take care of our other daughter, Hazel, while Violet is going through all this medical issues. So, over the last 18 months, I had to focus on that. And it is what it is. But now I finally feel like we're getting back on a solid footing. And Violet's health is stabilized, the practice is stabilized and booming, and I'm just like, okay, now it's time to get back to me. It's time to get back to focusing on my health, prioritizing my fitness, and even maybe get back into coaching. I'm trying a few different trainer apps that would help me kind of scale and allow me to handle a few more people, because back in the day, before COVID even, I would only handle three or four private clients at a time, because I was just so busy and it was so labor intensive on my part. Luckily, over the last couple of years, there's been some apps to kind of help streamline some of that would allow me to take some folks on as coaching clients, and do so very, very effectively and still have the quality there, but without as much just like rote manual work on my time. So I'm kind of interested to seeing that. But like I said, I'm glad to be back. I am so happy that you're here with me. Now, we're going to go through some Q&A today. I don't know how many questions we'll get through, because I've got to be out of here in about 20 minutes to go work out. But before we get to the Q&A, I wanted to read our latest review. It is a 1-star review, bless their heart. And the title of the review is "Maybe It Was 5 Stars 2 years ago" by Zb. So it's basically buzz, like a B sound, but backwards. And it says, let me bring it up here. "Maybe this podcast was worth 5 stars 2 years ago when most of the others' ratings were posted. I only made it through 5 minutes of this particular podcast. I stopped listening to when he said, 'You failed as a person.' Sometimes telling it like it is simply an excuse for being rude and unhelpful." Okay. So at first I was a little ticked off about this review, but then I was like, I always try to bring myself in, like, well, crap, did I say that? Did I misspeak? I think we should all have the little bit of humility to say, I'm not perfect. Did I mess up? Let's fix this. So I went back and listened, and now that quote was very much taken out of context, because when I was saying if you fail the full quote was, if you fail on your diet, you have failed as a person. But I was speaking as people that are online that say exactly that. They say that if you fail your diet, you're weak, and you have no self-control, and it's all this stuff, right? And so then I turned around right after I said that, quoting others. I turned around and said exactly how that is not true. So buzz spelled backwards. Maybe you should have, maybe held in there for another 5 or 10 seconds, because I don't know what to tell you. That tells me that you're a half-hearted listening, and then once you heard that out of context, you're like, nope, and I'm out. But hey, whatever. 1-star review among all the other 5-star reviews helps give it more credibility, right? Now, speaking of reviews, if you have enjoyed the show in the past, or you find value in the show today, please take your time and give back by giving a rating, or preferably a written review. This is how we get more eyeballs on the show and get the message out, because like I said, there's a lot of charlatans. There's a lot of people who are just regurgitating other influencers and all that stuff. In fact, if you want to see how the playbook is about how all these influencers doing, check out Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets. Read that, and it'll be like a curtain has been lifted on this whole freaking influencer crowd and all of their little tactics. Okay? And so just arm yourself and surround yourself with people who are really trying to give quality information, that really, really do the digging and the research, and just don't blabbermast, whatever the popular talking heads and echo whatever the popular talking heads of the moment are saying. So now on to the Q&A. So let me bring that up here. All right, so this first question was from Jessica, and on through Instagram Messenger, and I've been posting about my plan right now, and 1 day a week I do PSMF, which stands for protein sparing modified fast, right? And I believe I've done some shows on that before. I know I'm going to be doing some more coming up on it because I've had a lot of interest in it, even though I don't think it's right for a lot of people. But anyway, so getting to Jessica's question, Dr. Matt, I saw you in your IG story that you were throwing in PSMF. I've been wanting to try it, but it seems intimidating. Stats are 44, 54, 153-ish. Okay, I'm taking it the 44 is maybe 44% body fat. That's what I'm speculating. All right, goal is to lose 20 pounds of pandemic weight. I hear you there. I had regained, for full disclosure, I had regained 60 pounds of my 100 pounds lost over the last few years, over the last 18 months. But I'm already down 15 of that 60, so now I'm down to like, 45 pounds? Anyways, body's weird. So, I'm planning to start PSMF on March 20th. Hey, that's the day of this recording. As I'm heading into luteal phase, and knowing my body, it makes more sense to start PSMF after I get my period. I have PMDD and going through perimenopause, very sensitive to fluctuating hormones, blah, blah, blah. She said the blah, blah, blah. I didn't add that, by the way. Just wondering how best to prepare my mindset and body besides the usual grocery shopping, meal prep, etc. I know what foods work for PSMF, egg whites, cottage cheese, canned pink salmon, etc. Given my start date, does it make sense to start transitioning to keto prior to PSMF? Do you find this easier than starting PSMF cold? And that's the end of the question. Okay, so, well, all right, so first off, for listeners who don't know what PMDD is, that she had mentioned earlier, that is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So it's basically like PMS on steroids. It's way more serious than PMS, and PMDD causes people can get depressed, they can be very anxious, just like severe irritability, even up to a week or two before the period starts. So it's not to be taken lightly. I know a lot of people joke about PMS and all that stuff and trying to make light of it, but that's not even a thing to joke with, but especially PMDD, it's pretty serious. So, so Jessica, that's a great question. I want to start off by saying that PSMF is a pretty advanced tool. And honestly, it's a freaking miserable tool. And it's never something that I would really recommend to people without a lot of experience in this stuff, like tracking foods and cutting weight and whatnot. So, also, my own personal experience has always been from being keto or low carb first, and for a good while before throwing in any PSMF. So my intuition tells me, because I don't have any personal experience with just going from a high carb diet straight to PSMF, and I've never done that with any clients, and I wouldn't do that with any of my clients, because my intuition tells me that if you've never done keto before and you haven't built up any of that fat adaptation that goes on when we go low carb and we go keto, if you haven't built up any of that fat adaptation whatsoever, I think PSMF would be even suckier than it is already, and I don't know, man. I couldn't wrap my brain around it. Now, you didn't say if you've been keto in the past or not. So if not, I would stick to keto for a solid 3 months or more before ever trying PSMF. Now, I have to say this as a client. This is not medical, as more of a coach, right? I'm taking off my doctor hat to make my lawyers happy. This is not medical advice and all that stuff, right? We always have to throw in that lovely little disclaimer there. But if I was talking with someone through coaching, I would say I would stick to a keto diet for a solid 3 months or more before ever trying PSMF. And if people have been keto for a decent amount of time in the recent past, then maybe, but they kind of fell off keto, maybe going keto for a week or two is all that they would need instead of being three plus months. Now, all of that being said, and this goes to anybody who's wanting to cut weight, they gained the Rona 20 or more. I've had a lot of people reaching out because I've been open and honest about some of my regain, that there's been a flooding of people talking about their regain. The thing is, getting this stuff back off, don't try to rush things. I really recommend don't try crash dieting those 20 pounds off. Focus on lifestyle, focus on sustainable changes. What's the use of gritting and just like gnawing and clawing your way to those 20 pounds through crash diet if it's not sustainable? If you get there and you stay there for a few days, and that's awesome, but then you burn out and you stop exercising, you stop giving a crap about your diet, and you start putting your weight on and plus more. And so it's just, I don't recommend doing PSMF. It's a tool. It can be used, it can be sprinkled in a day a week or a day every other week, but don't make it your quote unquote diet. I just don't see that as beneficial. Focus on lifestyle, focus on sustainable changes, focusing on adding exercise and resistance training, and do so out of love for yourself. For the love of God, do it for you, not as punishment for the COVID 20 pounds, okay? Now, I'm only doing PSMF one day a week, and it's on a rest day, and I have plenty of fat to lose. I don't have 20 pounds to lose. I have 50 more pounds to lose, right? Including for me to get to my goal weight. So I still have a good 100 pounds to lose, right? Because I was up to 360. Right now I'm at about 305. And really, to get down to a healthy, long-term weight, I want to be under 220. 200 to 220. We'll see where we're at when we get there. It depends on body composition. But just don't try to do too much too quickly. Also, I'm more reluctant to recommend PSMF to females because going that low in fat can be disastrous to a woman's hormone profile. And you'd already mentioned about your PMDD, about your hormones being out of whack. So I really wouldn't recommend this at all. Just focus on keto, nutrient dense, low carb, get in some resistance training 2 or 3 times a week, focusing on getting strong, and let's start there, okay? Now, based on the info that you gave me, let's see. I did some rough calculations here because I haven't seen pictures, I haven't seen measurements, so these are just ballparks. But your BMR is probably between 12 to 1400 calories. So your TDEE, which is the total daily energy expenditure, it's probably around 1500 to 2000 calories, depending on activity level. So I would recommend getting on a good macro calculator. Ketogains has a great macro calculator. You can check that out if you want. But for most folks, I recommend a 20% deficit because that is sustainable. And it's not, you're not going to throw things out of whack. Now, I'll say that the more obese a person is, the steeper a deficit could be. Like for me, technically, as long as I'm getting enough protein, I could be at a 40% deficit, and there's literature to support that. But that's not sustainable anymore nowadays. And I've done this long enough. I've sustainability in making it your life and how you do things and your habits and stuff. That really is the key for long-term success. It is. So, if you were a client of mine, I'd probably be putting you at around 25% deficit just based off what I have. Like I said, I'd want a lot more info before actually coaching somebody. And so at 44% body fat at 153 pounds, it means you're roughly 86% lean mass. Now, I don't know how that body fat was calculated. Was that an in-body? Was that a DEXA? Was that Navy body fat calculator? I don't know. So that varies as well, right? But really what I'd start off with, depending on what you're able to do, is I'd want you lifting 2 to 3 times a week. If you could only do 2 times a week, I'd probably have you on a full body split. 3 times a week, it'd either be a full body split or maybe a legs push pull. You just have to kind of see. And I would set your protein high. I would set it probably at 100 grams. I like going higher in this because people are fuller. They're going to need more protein during lifting, especially if they're doing all this added deficit, because I want to preserve as much muscle as I can. Now, there's a lot of research that says 0.8 grams per lean mass, 1 gram per lean mass. I would actually ratchet it up and go 1.2 or 1.3. Just because I've seen the power of it. I've seen the power of it in myself and my coaching clients and stuff. So I am not protein averse. And the more and more research, we used to kind of wonder, okay, did high protein cause kidney issues, blah, blah. Now that more and more research is coming out showing no, I'm more and more inclined to keep protein a little bit on the higher side than what people classically would. So yeah, I would set, using a calculator, I would set your deficit where you need to be focusing on getting 100 pounds of protein, and then from there, fill in the carbs and fats as needed that allows to be within your calorie allowance, if that makes sense. And if you want to go keto, obviously you'd want to stick around 20 to 25 net carbs, and then fill in the gaps with fat. It really goes back to what my homies over at Ketogains had talked about forever for the last decade, and that is protein is a goal, carbs are a limit, fat is a lever. Now, Ben Bickman has his own version of that he created, stuff like that, but it all says the same thing. Focus on your protein, get that in order, and then find your carb tolerance. So if you want to be keto, obviously that's going to put your carb limit lower. If you just want to be low carb, maybe your total carb tolerance is 100 grams. And then whatever's left over, as many calories as left over, fill it with fat. That's the winning formula right there. So I hope this makes sense. To really kind of distill down your question, yes, I believe keto before PSMF would be beneficial. I would not recommend PSMF for you to begin with. Maybe down the line and working closely with a coach that knows what they're doing. It can be a great tool in the toolbox, but I don't think you're there quite yet, to be honest, and probably not the answer you wanted to hear, but it's my honest opinion, right? It's just like I tell my patients at my office, I'm not here to blow smoke up you know what? I'm here to give my honest recommendations, right? And so, because I want the best for people, whether they like me or not. So, we're at coming up on 30 minutes now. So that one took plenty of time. So I'm going to have to save some of the cardio questions that I've got for the next show. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you received value from today's episodes. Please share it with others. That's how we grow, and that's how we cut through the BS and the snake oil salesman running rampant in this kind of ancestral paleo, low carb, keto, carnivore, lifestyle. So also, I'll keep you guys posted. I may be opening my personal coaching back up to a handful of people. I'm trying out some different apps to see what platform me and my clients like the most. So I'll let you know what I find out. But if you are interested, if you'd like to get on a wait list, you can drop me a line or email me at ketodontist@gmail.com. But again, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. It's great to be back, and I will talk to you later.